October 19th, 2020. 15 days until November 3rd. 15 days until President Trump is reelected. Hashtag Trump is the best. Democrat henchmen have proven that Donald Trump is the most honest and incorrupt president ever. Fake news lies cannot dirty up squeaky clean Donald. Hashtag Obamagate. Obama is still the most corrupt president in history. A divider of the nation along race, gender, or any physical attribute or situation. Do not forget to subscribe on YouTube, iTunes, Stitcher, and Spotify. Follow us on Twitter and Parler. Check us out at JimboJohnGalt.com. The 60 Minutes puff piece on the Lincoln Project was hilarious. They are self-described anti-Trumpers. In reality, they exposed how they really are money-grubbing, hateful, hypocrite swamp dwellers who are the exact people that the voters wanted Trump to get rid of. They are the sellout establishment that stops the nation from thriving. This episode's theme was again meant to mislead the viewer to believe intelligent, moderate Republicans think Trump is evil and must be removed from office and not reelected. They act the role of the dissatisfied Republican for these news outlets, but they're really not. Too bad they exposed themselves by attacking Republicans Susan Collins and Cory Gardner, among other Republicans who are not pro-Trump. Their propaganda is pure innuendo, an oblique allusion, a hint, an insinuation. It is the most dishonest in the most sordid, shameful way. No attribution, continuing outright lies. From the leftist widow of Steve Jobs, Atlantic Magazine, regarding the anonymous untrue Trump slander, where they accuse Trump of calling soldiers losers. They attack his strongest patriotic supporters with hateful lies for a reason. The lies are easily debunked, as they always are, but they are designed to detract and take time and energy away from his strong message, which is their exact objective. The stated mission of the Lincoln Project is to defeat President Trump and Trumpism at the ballot box. Interestingly, as of September 30th, the Lincoln Project has raised nearly $60 million, and it has spent roughly $37 million on independent expenditures. The latest Lincoln Project's filings show the bulk of the money they took in went to either, quote, people on the board of directors or to companies controlled by them, with the bulk of that going to Reed Galen's Summit Strategic Communications, which appears to confirm the Lincoln Project is a spite political action committee formed to continue the losing grift its board members have perfected over the years. The Lincoln Project will resort to its formal practice of grifting its donors by cutting a factually challenged commercial on the cheap and then paying out exorbitant fees to the production companies which are owned by those members. But that has not stopped them from anti-Republicans at every level. There's an ad endorsing the Senate candidate, Democrat Montana Governor Steve Bullock, who is running to unseat Republican Steve Daines. If this was truly an anti-Trump, not an anti-Republican organization, this would not be happening. It is not just about Trump as they claim. They are money-grubbing opportunists, true hypocrites, liars, and charlatans. So far, the Lincoln Project's largest individual donors are hedge fund manager Stephen Mandel Jr., who donated $1 million, and Corelius Arturis, the founder of an air traffic control flight simulation network. He donated $250,000. DreamWorks co-founder David Geffen, Bain Capital co-chairman Joshua Bekenstein, Wolverine Gas and Oil Corp. CEO Sidney Jasmine, and Continental Cablevision co-founder Amos Hostetter have each donated over $100,000. These wealthy individuals are not just losers. They are chumps. They are suckers. They are pigeons. And I'm sure they're more than happy to do it because of their hateful souls.
Steve Schmidt, one of the founders of the Lincoln Project, is a longtime Republican strategist who worked in the George W. Bush White House and ran John McCain's 2008 presidential campaign.
Let's talk a little bit about this Steve Schmidt, the co-founder of the Lincoln Project. His only winning candidate was Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger, and Schwarzenegger did it on his own personality and charisma. He was with loser McCain. He's a dumb talker. Just listen to the way he sounds. Moronic sounding. Duh, duh, duh.
We all had a conviction that there are millions of Republicans who look at this debacle and reject it. And what we thought we could do is talk to those voters in the language and the iconography that they understand, connect with them and persuade them, many of them, to vote for the Democratic nominee for the first time in their lives.
This was well rehearsed. This guy wouldn't know the definition of iconography if you had a dictionary highlighted for him. Iconography is defined as the traditional images or symbols associated with a subject, and especially a religious or legendary subject. Look into his eyes when he is saying this scripted narrative. You know he doesn't know what the heck he's talking about, but he's memorized it.
Have you lost friends over this?
For sure. Of course.
He never had any friends. The only things that he's losing is different avenues to getting more of that grift, more of those political dollars. The money raised by the Lincoln Project goes to himself and to the other board members. All of their outside consulting, limited liability companies, corporations, plus the salaries that they get. On top of, they get money as a percentage of the money raised. All these political campaigns, they get at least 10%, sometimes 20%. They've raised $60 million. $60 million, 20% of that is $12 million that these grifters get to divide amongst themselves.
George Conway, conservative lawyer and husband of Kellyanne Conway, herself recently diagnosed with COVID-19.
To touch George Conway, just take a look at his physical stature. I don't know why Kellyanne Conway has anything to do with him, but he's got kids with her. Maybe that's why she sticks around. She was one of President Trump's best advocates and advisors. Strategy-wise, the Lincoln Project made a plus because it took out one of Trump's strongest advocates and advisors while getting rid of George Dumpy Conway, who wasn't that strong of an asset for the opposition.
And Reed Galen, who worked on both George W. Bush's campaigns. Together, more than 200 years of Republican Party activism.
As plastic-faced Lesley Stahl said, Reed Galen was a campaign veteran for George W. Bush. He is now the treasurer for the Lincoln Project. He also owns Summit Strategic Communications, based in Utah. Summit Strategic Communications is paid for digital production, newspaper advertising, and billboard advertising, which sucks dry all of those funds that the Lincoln Project raises from those wealthy, ignorant donors. Reed Galen is as establishment as they come. He's been sucking on the teat of the donor class for generations. And now he sees under Trump that he no longer has that Republican base, so he is selling out to the next highest bidder, just like all of these Lincoln Project creeps.
None of us will ever work in Republican politics. Again, we joke that, like some of the explorers who came to the New World, they were incentivized by the captain when he burned the ships, that there was no return going back.
Too bad, Steve Schmidt. You've never been Republican. You've been all about the dollars. You're an establishment hack. There will always be establishment dollars.
We do not represent any candidate. We don't represent any campaign. We don't represent any political party. So it allows us a great deal of freedom. We sail the seas, and when the opportunity presents itself, we unfurl the Jolly Roger and go to town.
You basically have endorsed Joe Biden.
We have endorsed Joe Biden, yes.
It feels like, I'm sure, to the other Republicans as a total betrayal.
Republicans can call us, betrayers of the faith all they want. We sleep well at night.
Betrayers of nothing. It's all about the dollars into their own pockets. Get rid of the anti-establishment Donald J. Trump and go back to the way things were. Everybody just wants things to be they were, the normalcy of the swamp of Washington, D.C. These guys playing the victim. Look at their soft little eyes. Next up, we have one of the worst, if not the worst, John Weaver, co-founder of the Lincoln Project, political consulting, serving as strategist for George H.W. Bush in 1988 and 92. He oversaw John McCain's political operations from 97 to 2007. He also served as turncoat Republican John Kasich's campaign in 2016. This is interesting. He was registered as a foreign agent lobbying for Russia-owned nuclear energy company for their U.S. sanctions. Tenem Corporation, which is part of, you may have heard of this one, Rosatom State Nuclear Energy Corporations, which is the infamous company that Hillary Clinton, Hillary, sold our uranium stockpiles and received kickbacks to her foundation. Weaver's filing with the FARA, the Foreign Agent Representative Act, is dated May 10th of 2019, which means he was allowed to backdate it without any sort of complications from potential jurisdictional problems and legal jeopardy, like Mike Flynn's son may have faced if Michael Flynn wouldn't have copped a plea to protect him. It also included Fletcher Newton, who was the president of the Canadian uranium mining company, Uranium One, which is also a wholly owned subsidiary of the aforementioned Rosatom. These people are dirty, dirty swamp dwellers, and this Weaver looks like he's got a soft little face as if he's a victim. Listen to what he says next about the conservative principles that he accuses Trump of abandoning.
I mean, look, Lesley, we've gone from caring about character, rule of law, defending the Constitution, a cogent national security policy, free trade. Where are all those issues? Imagine if you travel the country for 30 years fighting for Republican principles and you learn it was all a lie. No one cares about all the issues that we fought for.
Like a true Marxist, accuse your enemy of exactly what you are doing. That's what Weaver and the rest of the Lincoln Project are doing.
Much of the focus here in the home stretch is on this team led by Mike Madrid, former political director of the California Republican Party. They run the day-to-day strategy and ad targeting in an expanding number of battleground states.
Next up, we have Mike Madrid. Mike Madrid is a co-founder of the Lincoln Project. He's a former political director for the California State Republican Party and a longtime Republican political strategist with an expertise in Latino voting trends and analysis. He's currently a partner at the public relations firm Grassroots Lab. He serves as a senior advisor to the California Latino Economic Institute. Wow, California Republican Party. Where is that? That doesn't even exist. Republican candidates don't even bother politicking in California because they know that there is not a chance because there is no Republican Party doing the legwork during the off years. This guy, if he wasn't a Latino, would be nowhere. He'd be homeless. The Lincoln Project is filled with grifters. They formed a little clique. They money grab from everywhere. And look at the office. It's temporary rented office space, rented office furniture, grabbing as much money as they can in the next couple months, using the excuse of Trump derangement syndrome, which they are capitalizing on.
We've been focused like a laser beam on certain segments of the Republican electorate.
What about ads specifically for Republican women?
The one that analytically has proven the best is an ad called Memories, which is an ad that speaks to the loss of the normalcy of life during COVID.
These are the memories COVID took from us. A child's birthday.
We find that women move off of Donald Trump first, and then often their husband will follow behind them.
This is not unique. Lincoln Project is not insightful. They are not geniuses. Everybody knows that women don't like Trump because of his harshness, because of his brashness. So they go after that weakness. They target their ads, which everybody has targeted, to no avail. This is actually helping Donald Trump. Getting back to the Atlantic article. The Atlantic is owned by Steve Jobs' widow. It's a leftist rag using unverified, anonymous sources. The other attack point for these grifters is going after the military, and they specifically talk about that here.
Military-themed ads work across the Republican spectrum, and they're playing up reports that the president called fallen soldiers losers and suckers. And I'm going to quote, "They're failed strategists who are doing this for the money."
The easiest way in the world for a Republican strategist to make money right now is to shut up and say nice things about Donald Trump. So clearly we're in the wrong line of work.
Another bold-faced lie. The only people that are getting any press are the anti-Trump Republicans. And these guys are on 60 Minutes after all.
When I look at the party and I see what it's become, I think that I was naive about how deeply embedded the racism issue was in the party.
Honest to goodness, I didn't slow this down. Listen how mentally challenged Steve Schmidt is. He's reading a script, and he starts talking about racism in the party. Again, it's not just about Trump being a racist. It's the entire party is racist. These guys are pathetic.
And in all politics, you can look back on things with honor or regret or what have you. I think I'll look back on this. I think all of us will look back on this as something we did in the cause of the country.
Now, this guy, Rick Wilson, is the co-founder of the Lincoln Project, and what he says here is rich. He is currently the editor of the Daily Beast. He's the author of Everything Trump Touches Dies. He served as a field director for the George H.W. Bush campaign in 1988. He's a loser. George H.W. Bush was a one-term president. He couldn't win, but this guy is seen as some sort of an authority, somebody that somebody should be listened to. Nobody should listen to this creep. He talks about honor and dignity. That is rich.
I think that we have hurt him, we have cut him, we have defined him, we have provoked him. There was not a glove proverbially laid on him for a really long time. And I think we're amongst the first groups to effectively do that.
It's one thing that these people are morons, and they say what they say with a straight face. But for Lesley Stahl and these 60-minute co-conspirators. To not push back on that, to say that they're the first ones to lay a glove on Donald Trump is ridiculous. Donald Trump has had 95% plus negative coverage from all the networks, from all the media organizations, including newspapers and TV, including Fox News.
Donald Trump could win. This is why, we don't sleep a lot and why we're constantly pushing to expand our envelope, because you can't take chances with Donald Trump. We're not out of this fight till the fight is done.
The Lincoln Project are heroes. The Lincoln Project owners are heroes in their own minds. Listen to their victimhood and listen to their self-hero worship. Truly frightening. We don't sleep much at night, but we're not giving up. In the end, these guys are pretty good at using Final Cut Pro to make slick-looking, serious-sounding anti-Trump ads while loading their own bank accounts. The 60 Minutes piece will not have its intended effect. They come off looking like grifters and sellouts to the almighty dollar. Schmidt said it best when he was talking about poking the bear, Trump, to get a reaction. That helped the Lincoln Project get $2 million overnight. That says it all, exactly what the Lincoln Project is all about. Their base of attack is not to show Joe Biden in favorable light, because you can't. He's a criminal with dementia. But their attacks are to slander Trump with lies, to slander Trump's successful presidency by continuing the lie that the CCP virus was his fault and that he mismanaged it. Lies based on a foundation of lies is what the Lincoln Project is, and 60 Minutes is complicit. As always, keep your eyes and ears open, trust your instincts, and do not be afraid to speak up for your rights. Never bend the knee. Jimbo JohnGalt on Parler, Twitter, iTunes, and YouTube, or check us out at JimboJohnGalt.com.